It was close to 11:00 p.m. The sky had been heavy all evening, thick clouds swallowing any sign of the moon. Then, without warning, the rain started, soft at first, like a whisper, and then suddenly it poured. Texas highways were never truly empty, but tonight felt different. Ethan Cole gripped the steering wheel of his truck, his eyes tired but focused. He had been driving for nearly 8 hours straight, hauling cargo from Dallas toward a smaller distribution point outside Austin. Just one more hour, he told himself, then home. The windshield wipers moved back and forth in a steady rhythm, but the rain was getting worse. Visibility dropped with every passing minute. Perfect timing, Ethan muttered under his breath. Up ahead, the road split into two. One path continued along the main highway, safe, well-lit, predictable. The other was a narrow, poorly maintained road cutting through a stretch of forest, a shortcut. It could save him at least 30 minutes. Ethan slowed the truck. For a moment, he just stared at the dark entrance of the shortcut. And then something surfaced in his memory. A conversation from a few days ago. He had been at a roadside diner with another driver named Mark. Mark had leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "Listen, man, if you're ever driving out near that old county road past Cedar Hollow, don't take it at night." Ethan had laughed. "What, is it haunted or something?" Mark didn't smile. "Not haunted, worse. People say that road isn't always there, and when it is, it's not meant for us." Ethan had rolled his eyes. "Yeah, okay, sounds like some internet creepypasta." Mark had simply stared at him and said one last thing. "Especially when it rains." Back in the present, Ethan exhaled slowly. "That's stupid," he whispered. Still, something about it didn't sit right. But he was exhausted, and 30 minutes saved meant getting home sooner. He made the turn. The moment his truck entered the shortcut, everything changed. The highway noise vanished instantly, as if someone had muted the world. No streetlights, no passing cars, just darkness and rain. The road was uneven, patches of mud forming under the tires. Tall trees leaned inward from both sides, their branches stretching overhead like claws. Ethan frowned. "I've taken this road before, haven't I?" But it didn't feel the same. Not even close. A few minutes passed. Then, suddenly, the radio crackled. Ethan reached over and turned it off. Silence. But the sound didn't stop. It was still there. Soft, static, constant. And it wasn't coming from the radio anymore. It was inside the truck. Ethan's grip tightened on the wheel. Okay, that's not normal. He looked around quickly. Nothing. Just the dim dashboard lights and the heavy rain outside. Then, he saw something ahead. A shape, standing in the middle of the road. Ethan slammed the brakes. The truck screeched slightly before coming to a stop. His headlights illuminated the figure. A man. At least, it looked like one. He stood completely still, soaked in rain, his head hanging low. Water dripped from his clothes, pooling at his feet. Ethan leaned forward slightly, squinting. What the hell? For a second, instinct kicked in. Maybe the guy needed help. Maybe his car broke down. But then, Mark's words echoed in his head again. Not meant for us. Ethan hesitated. The man slowly raised his head. And in that moment, Ethan felt something inside him drop. His stomach twisted. Because the man's eyes, they were completely black. No whites, no pupils, just darkness. Ethan's breath caught. Nope. He immediately slammed his foot on the gas. The truck roared forward, speeding past the figure. As he passed, just for a split second, the man turned his head toward him and whispered something. Zovd, almost drowned by the rain. But Ethan heard it. Stop. Hell no, Ethan muttered, his voice shaking. He kept driving. Vasto. The road stretched endlessly ahead. Too long. Longer than it should have been. After what felt like several minutes, Ethan finally dared to glance at the rearview mirror. Nothing. The road behind him was empty. No man. No movement. He let out a shaky breath. Okay, I'm just tired. That's all, just tired. Then, something moved in the mirror. Ethan froze. Slowly, very slowly. He looked again. Someone was sitting in the back seat. The same man. Zogged. Silent. Head lowered. Ethan's entire body went cold. His fingers tightened around the wheel so hard they started to hurt. How did you? His voice cracked. The air inside the truck suddenly felt freezing. The windows began to fog up from the inside. Then, from the back seat, a voice. Low. Not quite human. You took the road. A pause. Then, you entered our paths. Ethan swallowed hard. Who, what are you? No answer. Just silence. Heavy. Suffocating. Slowly, the man in the back seat began to lift his head. The movement was unnatural, too slow, too stiff. Like something pretending to be human. And then, all the lights in the truck went out at once. Headlights. Dashboard. Everything. Darkness swallowed the road. And Ethan wasn't alone anymore. Darkness. Total darkness. For a few seconds, Ethan couldn't even breathe. The truck was still moving, but he couldn't see anything. No headlights, no road, nothing. Come on, he shouted, slamming his hand against the dashboard. His heart was pounding so loudly, it felt like it might burst out of his chest. Then, the headlights flickered. Once, twice, and suddenly they turned back on. Ethan gasped. The road was back. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The road wasn't the same anymore. It was wider now, too wide. The trees on both sides were gone. Instead, there was only darkness stretching endlessly outward, like the road was floating in nothingness. No, that's not possible. Ethan whispered, his voice trembling. Rain was still pouring, but it wasn't hitting the ground. It just disappeared midair. And then, he remembered. The man. Slowly, with fear crawling up his spine, Ethan turned his head slightly, just enough to glance at the back seat. Empty. The man was gone. Ethan let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Okay, I just need to get off this road. He pressed harder on the gas. 60, 70, 80 mph. The truck sped forward. But no matter how fast he drove, the road never changed. No turns. No signs. No end. Then, something appeared ahead. Lights. Dim yellow lights. Like old street lamps. Ethan leaned forward. There finally. Hope flickered inside him. As he got closer, the lights revealed shapes. Buildings. Old ones. Broken. Crooked. Like an abandoned town. A sign stood on the side of the road. Half rotten. Barely hanging. Ethan slowed down just enough to read it. The letters were faded, but still visible. Welcome to Cedar Hollow. Ethan's blood ran cold. That place, it's not supposed to exist anymore. He had heard about it before. A town that was abandoned decades ago after something happened. No one ever really explained what. The truck rolled slowly into the town. And that's when Ethan realized he wasn't alone. Figures standing in the rain, all along the sides of the road. Men, women, children, all of them completely still. All of them facing the truck. Ethan's breathing became shallow. Don't look at them. He whispered to himself, but it was impossible not to. As the truck passed them, he saw their faces, or rather, what was left of them. Their skin was pale, too pale. Their eyes, all black, just like the man before. Every single one of them. Ethan pressed the gas harder. I need to get out of here. Then, a loud thud hit the side of the truck. Ethan flinched. What was that? Another thud. This time from the roof. Then another. And another. It sounded like something, or someone, was jumping onto the truck. Ethan looked at the side mirror, and his stomach dropped. Hands, dozens of hands, grabbing onto the truck, climbing, scratching. They're not real, they're not reals. He kept repeating, but deep down, he knew they were. Suddenly, one of the faces appeared right next to his window. Too close. Smiling, wide, unnaturally wide. It tapped on the glass. Tappy, tappy, tap. Ethan screamed and swerved the wheel. The truck nearly lost control, but somehow stayed on the road. Then, all at once, silence. The rain stopped. The hands were gone. The town, gone. Ethan blinked. He was back on the same empty road. Normal again. Trees on both sides. Rain falling properly. What just happened? He whispered. Then, the radio turned on by itself. Static. Then, a voice. Clear this time. Not distorted. Not broken. You saw them. Ethan froze. The voice continued. And now they see you. Ethan slowly turned his head toward the passenger seat. Someone was sitting there now. Not the same man. This one was smiling. A cold, empty smile. Drive, it said softly. Or stay. Ethan's hands trembled. Where do you want me to go? The thing leaned closer. Too close. There is no way out anymore. The headlights flickered again. And this time, they didn't come back, darkness returned. But this time, Ethan wasn't blind. Even though the headlights were dead, he could still see the road. Faintly, as if the darkness itself was glowing just enough to guide him forward. His hands were locked on the steering wheel. Frozen. He didn't dare move. Didn't dare speak. Because something was sitting beside him. The passenger. Ethan could feel it. The cold. Not normal cold. This was deeper. Like the air itself was dead. Slowly, very slowly, he turned his head. The figure sat unnaturally still, its face half visible in the dim glow. Pale skin, cracked like dried clay. And that smile, too wide, too stretched, like it didn't belong on a human face. Ethan swallowed hard. What do you want from me? The thing didn't answer immediately. Instead, it tilted its head, a sharp, unnatural angle, as if its neck bent too far. Then it spoke. Soft, almost gentle. You chose the road. Ethan's voice shook. I didn't know. You knew. The answer came instantly. Cold. Certain. Ethan froze. You were warned. Mark's face flashed in his mind. The diner. The warning. Especially when it rains. I thought it was just a story, Ethan whispered. The thing smiled wider. If that was even possible. They always do. Silence filled the truck again. Heavy. Crushing. Then, the thing slowly raised one hand. Long fingers. Too long. It pointed forward. Keep driving. Ethan didn't argue. He pressed the gas. The road stretched endlessly ahead. But now, it was changing. The trees were gone again, replaced by something worse. Figures, standing in the darkness, on both sides of the road. Hundreds of them, not moving, not blinking, just watching. Ethan's breath became uneven. Don't look, don't look. But his eyes betrayed him. He saw them, all of them. Some looked human, others didn't. Twisted limbs, broken faces, eyes where they shouldn't be, mouth stretched too far, and every single one was smiling. The passenger spoke again. Do you know what this road is? Ethan didn't answer. It's not a shortcut. A pause. It's a crossing. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. A crossing between your world. The thing leaned closer. And ours. Ethan shook his head. No, no, this isn't real. The passenger suddenly grabbed his arm. Ethan screamed. Its grip was ice cold. But strong. Too strong. You are here now. Ethan tried to pull away, but couldn't. You saw us. The grip tightened. So now, the thing leaned right next to his ear. You belong to the road. Ethan panicked. He slammed the brakes. The truck skidded violently and stopped. Silence. The engine died. Ethan gasped, pulling his arm free. He turned to the passenger. Gone. No, 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 no. He looked around wildly. The road was empty again. Too empty. Then, a sound. Behind him. From the back seat. Slow breathing. Ethan didn't want to look. He knew he shouldn't. But something forced him. Slowly, he turned his head. And his scream never came out. Because the entire back seat was filled. Not one, not two, dozens. Faces pressed together, bodies overlapping, all staring at him, smiling. One of them spoke. You stopped. Another voice joined. You weren't supposed to stop. More voices, whispers. Now you stay. Stay with us. Forever. Ethan shook his head violently. No, no. He fumbled for the key. Turned it. Nothing. Again. Nothing. The whispers grew louder. Hands reached forward. From the back seat. From the darkness. Touching his shoulders. His neck. His face. Cold. Wet. Ethan screamed. Then, suddenly, the engine started. R-O-O-O-O-E-R. The headlights exploded back to life. Everything disappeared. The back seat, empty. The road, normal. Rain, falling again. Ethan was breathing heavily, sweating, shaking. I'm getting out of here. He slammed the gas. The truck sped forward. And then he saw it. A sign, bright, clear, end of county road. Ethan's eyes filled with relief. Yes, I made it. He drove past the sign. And suddenly, everything went silent. Too silent. Ethan frowned. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Slowly, he looked at the sign in his side mirror. The words were changing, twisting, reforming, and then they became, "Welcome back." Ethan's smile faded, and in the mirror, the road behind him was full of them, standing, watching, waiting. Ethan's smile disappeared instantly. His fingers tightened around the steering wheel as he stared at the side mirror. "Welcome back." No, that's not possible," he whispered. His chest felt tight. He had crossed the sign. He should be out. But he was. The rain suddenly grew heavier, louder, like it was hitting something closer than the ground. Ethan forced himself to look forward again. "I just need to keep driving, just keep driving." The road ahead looked normal. Too normal. Straight. Empty. Safe. But now, he didn't trust it anymore. A few seconds passed. Then, the truck's speed started dropping. Ethan frowned. What? He pressed harder on the gas. Nothing changed. The speedometer slowly fell. 60, 50, 40. No. The engine was still running, but it felt like something was holding the truck back, like invisible hands were dragging it. Then, a sound from underneath the truck. SCRRRRRRRTTTTCH. Ethan's blood ran cold. Something was scraping against the bottom. And then, a voice right below him. "You can't leave." Ethan shouted, "Get off." He slammed the gas again. The engine roared loudly, but the truck barely moved. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The engine died. The rain stopped. Even the sound of the wind. Gone. Total silence. Ethan sat frozen. Then, a soft knock. Tap. From the driver's side window. Ethan turned his head slowly, and his heart almost stopped. Standing outside, right next to his window, was himself. Same face, same clothes, same terrified expression. Ethan couldn't breathe. The other Ethan smiled. Not a normal smile. A twisted one. "You should have stayed on the highway," it said. Ethan shook his head violently. No, you're not real." The thing outside tilted its head. "I am you." Another knock. Tappy tap. Then, more figures started appearing. Out of the darkness. One by one. All around the truck. And every single one looked like Ethan. Dozens of them. Standing in the rain. Smiling. Watching him. Ethan's mind started breaking. What is this? What is happening to me? The Ethan outside leaned closer to the glass. "You didn't just enter the road." A pause. You became part of it. Ethan's breathing became rapid. No, I can leave. I just need to. The door suddenly unlocked. Click. Ethan froze. He hadn't touched anything. Slowly, the door began to open. Creak. Cold air rushed inside. Ethan grabbed the handle, trying to pull it shut. But it wouldn't move, like something was pulling it from the outside. Then, hands, dozens of hands, reaching in, grabbing him, pulling. Ethan screamed, let go of me." The other Ethans started laughing. A low, disturbing sound. You stayed too long. You saw too much. Now you replace one of us. Ethan struggled desperately. No, I'm not staying here. With all his strength, he kicked the door shut. Bam! Silence. Everything stopped again. The door closed, locked. The figures gone. Ethan sat there, gasping. What was that? Then, the truck engine turned on by itself. The headlights came back, and the road was back to normal, like nothing had happened. Ethan stared forward, shaking. I'm not stopping again, no matter what. He pressed the gas. The truck moved. Faster and faster. Then, far ahead, he saw something. A gas station. Lights on. Warm. Safe. Ethan's eyes filled with relief. A way out, finally. But as he got closer, something felt wrong again. The lights flickered. The place looked too empty, too quiet. And standing beside one of the pumps was that same man from before. The one with the black eyes. Waiting. Smiling, the gas station stood in the middle of nowhere. Lights flickering, rain pouring around it, and silence too deep to be normal. Ethan slowed the truck. His instincts screamed at him. Don't stop. But he was exhausted, terrified, and desperate. I need help, he whispered. The truck rolled closer, closer, and then he saw him clearly. The man, the same one from before, standing beside the pump, soaked in rain, head slightly tilted, and those eyes, completely black. Ethan's hands trembled. Not again. The man didn't move, didn't blink, just watched. Then, slowly, he raised one hand and gestured. Come. Ethan froze. Every instinct told him this was wrong. But something else, something deeper, was pulling him, like a force inside his mind. Just ask for directions, then leave, Ethan muttered. The truck came to a stop. The engine turned off. By itself. Ethan didn't remember doing it. The rain outside suddenly became quieter, like the world was holding its breath. Ethan slowly opened the door. Creak. Cold air rushed in. He stepped out. The moment his foot touched the ground, something felt wrong. The ground was too soft, like mud. Or something else. Ethan looked down. His stomach dropped. It wasn't mud. It was black water. Endless. The entire gas station was floating on it. Ethan stepped back in shock. What the hell is this place? Then, the man spoke. For the first time clearly. You made it far. His voice was calm. Too calm. Ethan swallowed. Where am I? The man smiled slightly. You're not supposed to understand. Ethan's fear turned into anger. I didn't choose this, I just took a road. The man's expression didn't change. You chose faster. A pause. You chose easier. Ethan froze. And now the man continued softly. You pay the price. Ethan shook his head. No, there has to be a way out. The man stepped closer. No one leaves. Ethan backed away. But suddenly, the gas station lights flickered violently. Then, everything changed. The walls cracked. The pumps twisted. The ground beneath them started moving. Like waves, Ethan lost balance and fell. The black water beneath rippled, and shapes began forming inside it. Faces, hundreds of faces, all staring up at him, whispering, "Stay, join us, you belong here." Ethan screamed and tried to crawl away. No, no. The man stood still, watching. You're almost ready. Ethan looked up, terrified. Ready for what? The man pointed at him. And then, Ethan felt it. Pain, deep inside his chest. Like something was pulling him apart. He gasped. His vision blurred. His hands started changing. The skin turning pale, cracking. Ethan screamed. Make it stop. The man stepped even closer. You saw us. A pause. You stayed. Another step. Now you become us. Ethan shook his head violently. No, I woe, I. With his last strength, he stood up, ran back to the truck. He jumped inside, slammed the door, turned the key. Nothing. Come end. Outside, the man was gone. The gas station. Gone. Everything. Gone. Ethan looked around wildly. He was back on the road. Alone, but not safe. Because, in the rearview mirror, he saw himself again, sitting in the back seat, smiling, eyes completely black. Ethan whispered in horror. No. The reflection spoke. You're almost there. The truck started moving. On its own. And ahead, the road opened. Wider, darker, endless. And this time, Ethan wasn't driving anymore. The truck was moving. But Ethan wasn't driving anymore. His hands were still on the wheel, but they didn't feel like his. Cold, numb, lifeless. The road ahead stretched endlessly into darkness. No trees, no sky, no rain, just the road. Ethan tried to move, tried to speak, but his body wouldn't listen. What's happening to me? From the back seat, a voice answered. You're letting go. Ethan's eyes slowly shifted to the mirror. There he was, himself, sitting in the back seat, smiling, eyes completely black. No, that's not me. The reflection tilted its head. It is now. Ethan's breathing became shallow. I can still leave, I can still. You crossed the line. The voice cut him off. There is no going back. Suddenly, memories started flooding his mind. Not his own. Other drivers. Other nights. Other storms. Men, women, all taking the same road. all thinking it was just a shortcut, all hearing the same warning and ignoring it. Ethan gasped. They all stayed. The road began to change again. The darkness faded slightly, revealing something ahead. A familiar sight. The same gas station. The same flickering lights. But this time, Ethan understood. That's not a way out. The reflection smiled wider. It's a door. The truck slowed down on its own. Stopped. The engine turned off. Silence. Ethan felt something pulling him. From inside. From his chest. Like his soul was being dragged out. He screamed, but no sound came out. Slowly, his body began to move. Not by his will. The door opened. Creak. He stepped out. The ground beneath him. Black water again. Endless. Cold. The gas station lights flickered violently. And then, everything became still. The man was there again, standing near the pump, watching him. Ethan walked toward him, step by step, unable to stop. Am I dead? Ethan whispered. The man shook his head slowly. No. A pause. Not yet. Ethan's eyes filled with fear. Then what am I? The man looked at him carefully, then said, a keeper. Ethan froze. You will stand here. The man stepped aside. Wait. Another pause. And guide the next one. Ethan's heart shattered. No, I won't do that. The man leaned closer. You already are. Ethan felt it again. That change. His skin turning pale, cracking, his eyes burning, and then darkness. Time passed, or maybe it didn't. Rain returned. Far away, a truck approached, headlights cutting through the storm. A new driver, tired, looking for a shortcut. The truck slowed down near the gas station, and standing beside the pump was Ethan, still, silent, soaked in rain, head slightly lowered. The driver inside hesitated. Hey, you okay? He called out. Ethan slowly raised his head and smiled, his eyes completely black. He lifted his hand and gestured. Come.